there's two aspects here. I want to talk about ego states versus the alter ego and how you can apply both to your personal self-defense. We teach in the class nonviolent dispute resolution. And out of our workbooks, we have section 5 here, conflict situations, that talk about parent, adult, child ego states. What I'm going to do is quickly read a few short paragraphs to explain what ego states are and then how we can apply them for self-defense, protection, or just making everybody all happy, okay? Observation of spontaneous social activity reveals that from time to time people show noticeable changes in posture, viewpoint, voice, vocabulary, and other aspects of behavior. These behavioral changes are often accompanied by shifts in feeling. In a given individual, a certain set of behavior patterns corresponds to one state of mind, while another set is related to a different psychic attitude, often inconsistent with the first. These changes and differences give rise to the idea of ego states. In technical language, an ego state may be described as a system of feelings accompanied by a related set of behavior patterns. The position is then that at any given moment, and this is a very important paragraph, and in this paragraph is an extremely important sentence. The position is then that at any given moment, each individual in a social situation will exhibit a parental, adult, or child ego state. And here's the important part of the sentence. And that individuals can shift with varying degrees of readiness from one ego state to another. These observations give rise to certain diagnostic statements. This is your parent means that you're in the same state of mind as one of your parents used to be, and you're responding as he or she would with the same posture, gestures, vocabulary, feelings, etc. This is your adult means that you've just made an objective appraisal of the situation and are using the thought processes or problems you perceive or the conclusions you have come to in a non-prejudicial manner. This is your child means that your reaction is the same as it would have been if you were a little boy or girl. So we were talking about that with Ross in the earlier segment. I didn't want to bring it up because I didn't want to steal the thunder. But if, Trey, if I shout at you and say, sit the heck down, I'd be acting parental, wouldn't I?
Yeah.
And then you'd probably go, who are you talking to, man? And be acting childish in the sense, not that you're childish, but that's the counter reaction to a parental command.
Or maybe I would yell back, no, you sit down.
Which would be a childish thing based on the definitions that we gave.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
The whole point is, if we're not speaking adult to adult, we're going to have conflict. So in that paragraph where it says you can shift from one degree of readiness to another, let's say, for example, you and I are in a conversation and we're having an adult-to-adult conversation, but I decide to get a little crazy with a comment. I say something that offends you, and all of a sudden we get parent-child relationship going on, but because I'm familiar with it, and I see, oh my gosh, there was a shift change in the conversation, I can go, whoa, Trey, sorry, I think I said something that may have offended you. You recognize my sincerity, and then we're back adult to adult. But you'll notice, ladies and gentlemen, you'll notice this now. All we did right now is put names on it. But you do this every day. You talk to people every day, and you have situations where you're talking to somebody adult to adult. It shifts to a parent-child, child-parent relationship, and you have conflict, okay? So if we can understand how those work in people, because they do exist, if you understand that they do exist, and it does happen, you could potentially reduce the chance of conflict by understanding how it works. Now, I'm not talking about if you're about to get robbed, raped, murdered, whatever, you go, what ego state's in? No, I'm talking, this is a precursor. You can stop it from getting to escalation point. Now, let me read alter ego. I got this off of Wikipedia. One short paragraph I'm going to read. An alter ego, that's Latin for the other I, and we're not talking eyeball, but the other person within you, is a second self, which is believed to be distinct from a person's normal or true original personality. A person who has an alter ego is said to lead a double life. The term appeared in common usage in the early 19th century when dissociative identity disorder was first described by psychologists. Cicero, you all know Cicero, right? Coined the term as part of his philosophical construct in the first century Rome, but he described it as a second self, a trusted friend. And I can see that point. You know if you got an alter ego or not. Most cases you do.
perfect examples of just from popular culture: the Incredible Hulk and Bruce Banner.
Yeah, there you go. Let's talk about it. You got the Hulk, Bruce Banner. You got Superman, Clark Kent. You got Spidey and Peter Parker. Who else am I missing? Big
Well,
ones.
I mean, all of those are secret identities, but I think addressing the altered ego where you have a separate, distinct self. Just Jekyll and Hyde, and of course Jekyll and Hyde, the
Yeah.
Hulk and Banner is just Jekyll and Hyde made large.
Yeah, but I want to go on the angle on the brighter side. Let me explain. We're peace-going people, okay? And if something happens, if you notice Superman, he lets things happen to him. Clark Kent lets things happen to him. But when it comes time for the cape to come out, it's truth, justice, and the American way all the way. Spidey, he gets beat up, pushed around, all this kind of stuff. Peter Parker getting taken advantage of, doesn't get paid, is offered meat as form of payment. Okay.
And he's obvious.
But
It's
then when
obvious
he-
that he could crush people, but he doesn't.
But when he comes out, he's there and ready to go. Okay. What was the other one we talked about? Let's say Batman, Bruce Wayne.
Well, he's always Batman, Bruce Wayne. There's no difference between Batman and Bruce Wayne.
The point is, we live our daily lives. Okay. We want to just do our daily lives and have fun. But this is the whole reason I'm bringing it up. To be prepared for a situation that may happen, I truly believe you've got to have your alter ego on standby. I'm a very nice guy until you piss me off. Okay. I have good capabilities to do many things. But the good side of me keeps it in check. But if the bad side of me needs to come out for self-defense or protection of others or property or whatever, the alter ego side of me comes out. It's a person who's trained. It's a person who's ready. It's a person who goes dark. And what I mean by going dark is fun and games are over. It's time to respond, okay? And you prepare yourself. It's almost like you're in training with two different people. You train to deal with people on this side of the table, friendly and all that, but you also train to get yourself ready if there's a shift in the power structure. Okay?
You're a nice guy until it's time to stop being a nice guy.
Right. And what's that bumper sticker say? It says, do not
Mistake kindness for
kindness
weakness.
for weakness. That's right. So,
Yeah.
so what I'm getting at with this is it's out there. It's definite. There are ego states that you must recognize, that you can see from others, that you might be able to direct, guide, maybe even manipulate to get back into an adult to adult conversation to avoid the conflict that a parent-child situation. Look, if you're looking at the video later on this week, adult to adult, no problem. If I go parental, you're going to go child. We got conflict. If you go child and I go parent, whatever, conflict. But we got to get back down to the adult to adult level. So if we understand that we all possess that, and it can come out multiple times in the course of a conversation, we just dodge the bullet.
The fact is, you hesitate to use the word manipulate because it has such sinister undertones, and that's just because nobody wants to be manipulated. Nobody, because like I said, it's considered a bad thing. But the fact is, in conversation, in conflict, in just everyday life, you're always manipulating people. Whether it's for a good result, saying you tell someone, "I really appreciate what you've done," because you want them to feel better that they've done something and you're proud of them.
I mean, there's two ways to say that. You do it because you genuinely feel it. You
Yeah.
genuinely feel it, and you also know that, hey, if they're like you, they're going to probably be favorable towards you.
Well, none of that, but you want an end result from something. I tell, man, that's a great show, Matt, because it was a great show. But I also know that that's going to bolster you up. You know what? I
when
am
you tell me that,
enthusiastic about that.
when you telling me that, it motivates me to come back next week.
Exactly. And it's a form of manipulation. If someone says, Trey, that was outstanding drawing. I can look at it, I know it's a good drawing, but hearing someone else, that gives me the warm fuzzies,
Mm-hmm.
And that may be what they're going for. Like, hey, I just want to reinforce you on that. But you don't just come out and say, hey, I want to make you feel better. I want to reinforce you. That's not effective.
What would happen to somebody who doesn't have that alter ego? What happens to somebody who's always the same all the time, and the wolf comes around and wants to take the sheep? What does the alter ego do? If it isn't there, it just submits?
Well, it depends on what their primary ego is. If their primary ego is this
Well, that's true too. Yes.
hard-headed, hard-driving,
I'm not talking that though. I'm
Yeah.
talking a person who has just got their head in their phone. Head in the phone is a new term, a clean way of saying you got your head up your
rear end.
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, if it's your average person who just goes along to get along, obviously they don't have the altered ego for the the fight aspect, because that seems to be more what you're addressing the alter ego for, switching from every day get along with people to the fight response and the fight or flight response, or fight, flight, or freeze, what they're doing now. Instead, you have the primary response might be to freeze up or to run away. So it seems more that the alter ego you're talking about is that fight aspect of that danger response.
Now you do have the alter ego, like you had mentioned. I'm not gonna say Hulk. Hulk is because he genuinely got aggressed upon and he turns green. But we're talking Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde. Dr. Jekyll, good guy, does his work, and all of a sudden turns into Mr. Hyde, and he starts killing people. Right? There's a lot of people out there like that too. I don't know if they're dramatically killing, but they're just, their alter ego is just in a bad way. I'm talking on a positive alter ego, your companion, the companion who's silently with you wherever you go, ready to come out upon your beck and call.
It's I don't know how to say this. The way you're sounding, it sounds almost like, you remember the old cartoons. You had the devil sitting on one shoulder and the angel sitting on the other.
Well, that's I know where you're going with that, but it's more of a tempting type of thing.
Well, they're giving you advice on how to react to something. Well, in this case, it sounds like you don't have, devil on one shoulder and an angel on another. You have one guy sitting on your shoulder saying, "You know what? Everything's fine. Something's going wrong here. This is what we do. Let me take over. I got it."
Yeah.
And you're like,
okay.
What? Cool.
I'll take that. Yeah, I'll take that. It's one brain, two egos. One's passive, the other one, don't jack with me.
The only problem with that is it seems almost like that I have with it personally, not as a actual, is that it's almost like a slippery slope for avoiding blame, avoiding responsibility. After everything's said and done and the gun smoke clears and you're standing over, victorious, and then you're like, "Oh, I did not mean to beat the crap out of all 8 people."
I don't know about that. I'm not going that angle. My angle is, no, I meant to do that.
Well,
I was prepared to do that.
I'm saying is it could lead to that. Because eventually someone's like, "Man, I'm a peace-loving person. I did not mean to hurt all these people." Well, yeah, you did, because even though you say it's an altered ego, it's still you.
It was a necessity. Your one side doesn't want to do it, but your other side says it's necessary time to do it, and I have the capability of doing that. That alter ego gives you the capability of doing it. The bad thing is, if you're that nice person and you're getting aggressed upon and you don't have that alter ego, you're a sitting duck.
Or you don't have the relationship with that altered ego, so that understanding of that portion of yourself. I'm an easygoing guy. People who know me know I'm pretty easy to get along with. I tell dumb jokes. People accept that about me, and I guess it's part of my charm. I don't know. But there are instances where I am not a nice guy. Children threatened, can't handle that. That's something, and I'm aware of that aspect of my personality. I own that. I think for someone to have that altered ego, they have to own up to having that aspect of their personality, whatever it is that would trigger them.
Yeah, a rational person understands they have the both. Some people who are mentally deprived, in the sense that there's a sickness, they may not know it, and it comes out, like the Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde.
And I think in order to be fully, in order, that was easy for me to say, wasn't it? In order to fully utilize that alter ego, you have to be cognizant of it, and you have to own it.
I have a very high threshold when it comes to bringing him out. I put up with a lot of crap. I'm taken advantage of a lot. I'll shut my mouth a lot, so on and so forth, because of my studying of human nature and the legalities of things and this and that. And I go, it's not worth it. Just move on. Be a better man. Swallow your pride. It's no big deal. So on and so forth.
And also because the fact that I'm just guessing here, you feel that if you bring him out, it's time for scorched earth.
That's right.
It's
exactly.
time, burn the field, salt.
Because I know what I can do, I get further, and I try to stay as far away from my alter ego as possible. So, all I'm trying to say, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a break in just a second. All I'm trying to say is, if you have that alter ego, make sure he or she is trained so that when it comes out, it knows what to do. If you don't have an alter ego, you got a choice. You can either succumb to what people want of you, or you can develop an alter ego that when necessary, it comes out and saves the day.